Hey everyone, and welcome to another FogCutter Live. I'm Mike Curtis here with Preston the Pirate James, founder of Trader's Edge Network. And Preston, nice little pullback last week that we'd kind of been preparing for. So we got a lot to talk about on that front. A few other things we want to hit on, say hello, and we'll dive in.
Yeah, we're coming at you guys from Dallas, Texas today. Mike and I both witnessed the 40-40. We're walking away from the game going, what does this do for anyone? It's just so weird still. But yeah, I call it sector sloshing, for lack of better words. That's what we've got a lot going on. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. But we got a little surprise too that came in that we wanted to share.
Yeah, we love hearing from those in the Trader's Edge community. Preston, your whole office wall is covered with people telling you about their story, how it's changed their lives, the money they've made. And so this is Paul V. We just wanted to dive into this one. It's a fun story. So Paul from Rogers, Minnesota said, I got my start after picking up the Money Press book, read it several times. He joined our Wow Insider service. In his very first week, he launched 5 money presses. So shout out to Paul.
Yeah,
He
Paul.
got busy. He jumped in. Said that first week, I quietly hit the $250 milestone. Inside our Wow Insider, we have a few of these little milestone checkpoints, if you will, just to see how you're doing and kind of celebrate the wins. He said he got a little more confident, started rolling up on Thursday. So he was working on some of his management. He said by the end of the week, my account was up over 1,800 using 6, now 7 money presses, just following some of your current trades, Preston. So
That's awesome.
he said he's aiming for that 2,000 milestone. That's the next one. He hit that 250 and moving quickly up the milestone rank. So shout out, Paul, to you for diving in and taking on this venture of trading and seeing the results.
Yeah, and taking the time to mark this out. I mean, this is when it's new. I mean, this is it, I wish I could remember what it was like just starting. I'm just to shout out to him for organizing his thoughts, sending it our way. He's got a picture in there. Appreciate you, Paul.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, let's talk some markets. So, Preston, really last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just kind of a little pullback. And we'd been talking about how much ground the market has covered, especially the last 2.5 weeks or so, 3 weeks leading into last week. A little bit more defensive minded. Didn't mean we were just closing everything out and shutting things down, but just, took that opportunity, for me at least. Before last week, I was selling calls against long calls. I was selling calls against stock that I own. And if you're not familiar with selling calls, what it does is it generates some income if the stock goes sideways or pulls back a little bit. So it can be a little bit of a bearish hedge. It can be a nice little income maker. So, as we were kind of anticipating maybe a little pause, maybe a little breather, we took a little bit of that defensive approach on some things. Preston, what are some of your thoughts coming out of last week? And then now that, I guess, with this pullback, are we just kind of in that springboard ready for the uptrend to continue?
Yeah. And at the same time, we're hearing, is this the same bubble? Is this the 1999 bubble in stocks? There's all kinds of noise out there. We are having sector rotation. That's kind of what the legal way or the correct way to say it, rather than sector sloshing. Sector rotation, energy names, for example, last week really led the way. They're taking a break today. I noticed from the administration, Mike, a headline that that's made weed, the ganj or whatever. I don't know all the little words, but the marijuana stocks.
Yeah.
They're hot today. The really within a second that I saw that, the word fugazi came up when it was a college football game you were watching, Mike, and I happened to be watching it. You watched it on the plane, and one team got up. It was Colorado. They got up quick, and I said they don't know how to deal with the lead. I called it fugazi, which means fake. Fugazi, and they ended up getting boat raced. And when I look at a lot of these marijuana stocks, a lot of them are in the single digit price stocks. And that always reminds me of the La Brea tar pits, in Los Angeles. The unlucky critters that got caught in there, like amazingly preserved, from the dinosaur era, whatever. tar pits. When a stock gets into single digits and just trades millions and millions of shares, TLRY is one that comes to mind. That's
Mm,
hot today. I'm just saying you would be way better off being focused on recent pullbacks in like Robinhood, recent
right,
pullbacks in Astera Labs. Robinhood is A Lab, Astera is ALAB. I would much rather trade a pullback in a triple digit price stock than ever get involved with a single digit stock, and
right,
especially in the marijuana stock. So I'm just going to say it comes up, it's kind of sexy. Marijuana, that's only growing. More states
legalizing.
creating a path forward with favorable laws or whatever. It it's such a misfocus in my opinion. It's just the new, "Oh, look what's happening over here." And you sit there and buy basically a penny stock and it just hogs your money.
Right.
Now you're looking at that versus where the real opportunity is, in
Yeah.
my humble opinion.
Yeah, not just your money, but your all of us only have so much time in the day, so much energy, so
Attention,
much
Frank.
attention.
Yes.
But not only does it hog your capital, but if it's taking your focus away, right?
Yeah.
That's an opportunity cost as well in and of itself.
And when you're reading marijuana laws and that Arkansas is next, and will they open or will they not? I mean, you're way off focus.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some of the pullback, I mean, we're seeing your sector sloshing, right? We're seeing it, some of that shifting, floating around.
Yeah.
I mean, last week was bad for crypto, right? Bitcoin pulled back a lot.
Yes.
We're seeing fresh life into all that sector.
Big bounce in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
dipped below that 110, and it's a real
Crossed
buy the
above
dip.
114 as I was looking at it a little bit earlier. So,
And Mike, a lot of IPOs this year, crypto related. It's a
yeah.
really hot IPO market, and like Circle, CRCO is one of the ones I like watching here. That Bitminer, BMNR,
Right.
um, and others. But I love going with the big names, you know.
Yeah, so when we go through a pullback week like last week, Preston, maybe you could share just where does your brain go? What's kind of your standard operating procedure? I know for me, I love to start, finding some opportunities. What's a stock that I've been really wanting to participate in, and maybe now it's pulled back for 3 or 4 days. It's given
Right.
me an opportunity to redeploy some capital into something I've been watching, but having a hard time buying it is it's just been setting new high, new high, new high, or new 52-week high, new 52 high. So what's kind of your thinking, your thought process behind a week or coming out of a week, I should say, like last week where a lot of things pulled back?
Well, it's a great question, and we're like basically out of the earnings season. Actually, we're just around the corner from the third quarter earnings, so not a lot of earnings announcement. Nike's like the biggest one this week. So I mean, usually I'll be paying attention to what we call surprise factors. What's surprising the market, what could right around the corner, but just hardly any earnings announcements this week. But Mike, to your point, a name like Reddit, being patient, watching and waiting for pullbacks, textbook pullback in Reddit that looks like, that's creating an opportunity to buy the dip there. I watch for things exactly like that. I don't like to see what these little penny stocks and what they might do. Who is leading? Who are the 800-pound gorillas and trading those?
Yeah, because when that money gets flowing, right, it's a powerful force. We see it in sector and individual stocks. There's times you're like, wow, how much higher can this thing go?
Right.
And then it continues to march for another week or two. So, yeah, being mindful of that is a powerful component to being a savvy trader.
I'm just thinking too, I can't stop thinking about our Atlanta event coming up where we just find stuff together in the class. So excited to we got a full room down there, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we do. The dates on that, October 16th and 17th. So to be in the room live with us, it's completely sold out, but keep an eye on your email. If you get our Trader's Edge emails, and you can tune in via our live stream technology so you don't miss a beat of any of that action. We trade together. Preston's on stage talking about just different concepts, different trading opportunities. I do a basics over breakfast every morning, kind of kick things off, help those that are a little newer to options, newer to the money press. And we have Mentor Brandon, Mentor Stella, Mentor Lee of all the Traders Edge crew, just great traders in their own right, all have little different tweaks and styles, different focuses. And they bring all that collection of information and knowledge to that group, as well as we call him Crypto Kyle, but he's also built all of our Insider Max tools behind the scenes.
Yes.
So he's our kind of our crypto guru, along with some of the development behind our Insider Max tools. They're powerful scanning tools to help you find trades, and smart kind of AI driven trade journals and things like that. So you can check out, watch for some of those emails if you want to tune in to all the fun that's happening in Atlanta. So Preston, looking out into this week, just all systems go. Where's your brain at as we kind of wrap this one up for today?
Yeah, in the broad scheme of things, Mike, I mean, what's being talked about? Rate cuts. We got one, whether we get one or two more. I mean, when rates lower in general, in aggregate, compared with the stock market loves lower interest rates. So yeah, we've covered some ground, but we're going to have pullbacks. We're going to have sector rotations. We're entering into October right around I mean, the next time we do this one will be our first October FogCutter. And there's been talk too of, hey, if we don't get, that summertime pullback, well, that means even more in September and October, we're going to get one. Well, yeah, the market will pull back, but we average that market correction once a year since World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And for the context, that happened in April. I mean, we're pretty freshly done from a market correction, which pulls a lot of stocks down with it. And
Definitely.
especially these newer aggressive growing stocks, they really get knocked down in those corrections. But we could have some pullback in the market of 5, 6, 7, 8% in the S&P, and that will pull stocks down. But those 10% ones, and we had a 20% one in April. I'm just saying, we don't know. We know we're due for a correction once a year. We just don't know. They don't come on the third Thursday of every March. So sometimes there's space. The next one is 9 months later. Sometimes it's 14, 15 months later. But in the aggregate, we average one a year. And we've already had one this year.
Yep. And usually there's warning signs, right? We start seeing the trend reversing, the trend breaking down. There's, you might not avoid all 10% of the correction, but if you can avoid 5 or 6% of it, and then be in a good position to catch the recovery, you can still really, really outperform through some of those scenarios. So I know for me personally, as I've got more and more experience, the correction isn't something that I fear. I actually kind of look forward to it, right? Waiting to see, all right, the opportunities are going to come out of that. And you just see that time and time and time again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
So last
that's
thing,
pretty
Preston.
mentally healthy to know that that's
Right.
coming once a year too. I mean, not to pretend it won't happen, to know that it will happen.
Right. And just to kind of wrap up that interest rate thought, a lot of the motivation behind some upcoming cuts was to help with kind of the softening labor market, the job market picture we've seen. And this Friday, we have the jobs report, the employment report. It's the first Friday of every month. So anything in particular you're looking out for, watching for, as this jobs report might be a little more tuned into, is that's been a lot of the discussion behind the interest rates, where,
Sure.
of course, the jobs report is always a big economic report on the calendar. The market usually can react to it. But there's a lot of times where it's just kind of like, oh, there it was, it came and went. But when that can be some of the motivation behind the interest rate policy, there's going to be a little more attention,
Right.
honed in on that this Friday. So any insights or thoughts on that before we
Yeah,
start?
we don't know what that number is until we know it, but what is nice about it is to know that it will be announced on Friday, and then to know that that might, we this weekly option focus that we have, Mike, I mean, every day, Friday, it just we might still have time premium left in Friday just because of the volatility. sometimes I roll and adjust later in the day on a Friday that's busier. We might have a
Mhm.
busier Friday, but, we just don't know what it'll be till we see it.
Totally. And for me, I know a lot of people when they're trading the money press, right, as the time decays working in your favor throughout the week. And if let's say we have a few strong days, if some of the momentum from today can carry into the rest of the week, sometimes you're at 80 or 90% of your potential profit on Thursday, where you could close out some of those puts you sold, lock in the profits, and just kind of step away from any potential Friday fireworks or volatility. And maybe you leave a little bit of profit on the table, but what you're doing is taking away that potential of, maybe the market not liking the number or whatever the case may be, where some of those fireworks could bring some volatility on Friday. But that's just a thought to put in some of our money press traders' minds.
Yeah, and maybe finally I'll say how important it is to be involved in different sectors. I mean, if you have every single money press right now in energy, well, it might have a hot week, but then the sector rotation might happen, and then all your money presses are more challenging. You're like, what's going on? Well, basically what's going on is sector rotation. But if one or two are energy, and then you're in cybersecurity over here, and then internet stock over here, or whatever, I think that is important consideration here.
Yeah, always an important landscape behind the scenes, right? To have that in the back of your mind. Well, good stuff, Preston. Like always, we're hoping with this fog cutter, we can help you just kind of position you for a little more confidence to attack the week, get some thoughts and insights in your brains as you're going out and taking on the financial markets, all that clutter and noise that can pop up and come your way. So hopefully you found this helpful. Preston, thanks as always. And next week, we'll kick off October with another Fog Cutter Live coming at the
Here we
folks.
come. I appreciate you, Mike. Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
thanks so much. We'll sign this one off.